So I've been getting a lot of questions about how I add realism and life to my theme parks in Planet Coaster 2, and I thought the perfect way to answer those questions would to be to make a tutorial. So that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm going to be making this little pathway system here that's surrounded by theming and scenery and trees and all that. Just a really nice looking pathway, and I'm going to share tips and tricks with y'all as I design this thing step by step. I'm going to try to make no cuts through this so that y'all can just see the raw footage of me doing this. So yeah, you can sit back and relax, or you can build right along with me and follow every step and tip that I give as I build this myself. I hope y'all enjoy. Okay, so the first thing that I like to do is to go into the pathway system and just start getting a sense of the layout of what you want. A lay of the land, if you will. And I like to do this because I'm very much of, I need things planned out before I do any building or anything. I just need to see the layout of what I'm working with before I actually start the building process. So what I've done here is now I did this little curvy path. Let's just see, it'll be like this little path through the woods or something, and it'll just be like this nice peaceful little path, and then you'll walk into a little plaza here or something that has buildings or something. And note how I used the grid option, but also for this pathway I used the just line builder option, so that I could get that standard curve through it to make it look a little bit more flowy. And then for here, I'm just using the grid to create a little sort of plaza type thing. Okay, so once you have your layout done with the path, you can go ahead and take the curbs off the path if you want to. I'm not too worried about that right now. I'll do that if I have to. But yeah, let's just go into the next thing, which is something that a lot of people don't actually do, and it's getting a sense of where you want your buildings to go first. And it's not actually building the buildings, it's just building the buildings. Wow. It's not actually constructing the buildings, it's just getting a sense of where you want the layout of them to go. So it's still much in the layout progress. So I like to just find a grid piece. Doesn't matter what it looks like. I'm not going to make these buildings out of steel, but I will use this as a sort of like guide or something. So this is fine for what I'm doing. Sure, that works. And we can just place that right there, and then it can go somewhere, I don't know, on the pathway or something here. Just to get a little sense of that, and then, you know, we can do more buildings over here. I won't focus on that yet. But yeah, you just make sure you get a placement down for where you want your buildings to be. And it can move, but like just get the general like census of what you want before you actually start building the buildings. Here we'll actually like kind of have this little combination between the two. Most of the time there's not alleys in theme parks or anything, and I'll actually like to combine the corners too. There we go. So now, you know, there might be a seating area or something here. I can just see like there's this little hangover now where there's like umbrellas or something underneath, and then there's a food stall or something here. I don't know. You know, you just kind of start, once you do the shape, you start to get a sense of what you're working with, which is why I also like to do the layout with the paths. Okay, so the next thing is to start getting a feel for what you want things to look like. What is it that you're trying to cover? What's the theme? What's the vibe you're trying to go for? For my case, I'm doing this sort of like forested, kind of like peaceful, shady path where you can just go to avoid the general hubbub and hustle and tons of people, to get away from the busy parts of the theme park, and you can just kind of take a stroll through, you know, the peaceful parts. So yeah, I want to do a lot of trees. I want to do a lot of bushes, some rocks, maybe some nice relaxing music. That's the kind of general sense I want to get. And for the kind of biome that I'm working for, because that's something you also need to figure out, I'll probably do very similar to the biome I'm already working in. So like this type of tree style, maybe not very alpine style, but more of a, I don't even know. I don't know what biomes are called, but it's more of a traditional like tree style. So yeah, once you have an idea, want to look like, same thing with like the buildings here. I want to have this kind of maybe a bit of a log cabin-ish feeling, so this will be sort of an alpine feeling. I think that would be a cool idea. So you have this forest walk into this kind of like alpine style, like eatery plaza or something. I don't know. That would be cool. So yeah, just get a sense of what you want it to look like, what kind of biome you're working with, and then once you decide, the first thing I like to do is just start working with the rocks. And so my biome is just very like taiga, I guess, taiga-ish. I don't know. It's either that or like this. It's not tropical. Just like a general like forested theme. So I'll use these taiga rocks here. They have a bit of moss on them, so I think that could work. They look like a good rock color to use for the sense of the theme or the style I'm going for. So you definitely want to use the style of scenery pieces that match your theming or whatever. So yeah, I'll use these taiga, and one important thing is to use use a lot of the different kinds of rocks here. So I'll do a bigger one there. Maybe I'll use this one again, but I'll shrink it down and then rotate it on its head. And notice how I'm not using the scenery brush. I'm doing this by hand. I like to do around my pathways. I like to do everything by hand, so you can get things more accurate and what you want it to look like. And then for like the areas where your park you need just filler areas, then you can use the scenery brush and just like cover it with trees or something. Things that people aren't going to really care about. But for your like main pathways, your plazas, you're going to want to do stuff like this where you can do it hand placed. So I actually want to do a lot of rocks here, because the more rocks I have, the more plants I can have. That's just kind of a general rule. Well, actually, it depends on your climate and your biome. But for this one, it works for me, so I'm just going to start placing rocks down. Don't be one of those people that just selects your... Hang on. Just deselect that, please. Selects your rock and just places it without rotating it or anything, or even lowering it. Don't be one of those people who just does that. I don't even like to use the random rotation or anything, because I like to do it myself. I like to get a feel for every sense of every placement of each piece, so that each one is completely different from another one, so that you don't actually get a duplicate of the same, rock or something. And that's something that y'all needs to be like in your heads, is like, if you start like copying rocks, like if I just place this rock the same direction, same height, immediately you're going to notice that is the same rock copy and pasted. That is not realistic at all, because there is no rock that is exactly the same in real life. No rock, or no bush, no tree. They are all different. And so when you're working with, the rocks and the trees and the bushes in this game, try to emulate that. Try to copy that as much as you can. Try to make rocks that all look different, that are all different directions, that all have a different feeling to them. And not feeling, but use all the same type if you can, because let me guess, you don't want to just do that and then add a western rock like that. That obviously does not look good. You want to kind of match the style here, while also, having some uniqueness to it. So I'm actually going to I've used that one already, but, I lowered that one a bit. So, there we go. Oh, and by the way, I don't rescale a lot with rocks, because there's so many different options. But you can go into say, oh, this one's too big, and rescale it, and just start to place it around. I think that's good for the tutorial's sake. Now I'm going to go ahead and start to do bushes and just like the plant life. Oops, phone's going off. And that's because I do this second, because plants can actually get blended into the rocks. And it gets a sense of, because the rocks are bigger than the plants, you get a sense of where your plant placement can go. So for my biome, I have a general sense of what I want to use. I think I want to use some of these, maybe not a lot, but a blackthorn is what these are called, and I like to place them down before I use them. It's not like the rock system where you have each plant into its own section. They're all kind of scattered here in this this category. So I can probably use the bramble bush a lot. I'll probably be using that one a lot. I'll be using maybe a few of the creosote bush, the flowering one, but I'll be using more of the non-flowering ones. So this one, because it looks more like a different style of plant that way. Let's see, what else can I do? There is another plant that I like to use. I don't know where it is. I guess I could use this one if I just hide it a little bit in the ground like that. We'll see. I'll stick it. Let's find the small one. I'll stick it here just for kicks and giggles. Where is it? Here it is. It's the rose bush, but it actually doesn't have flowers on it. So it's flowerless, so it looks kind of just like a general just bush. By the way, this bush part, I like to do flowers after. So try to place bushes without like color or like flowers or anything before you do the actual colorful bushes. It helps you get a sense of what you're doing. See, like that, if I probably honestly wouldn't use this bush anyways because it's kind of unrealistic looking to begin with. But if you do want bushes with colors, place it after so you can get a sense. Oh, here's a good little bush. I might use that. It's a little fern. So yeah, see, it kind of mixes with the rock texture here. They are kind of the same style. So let's go ahead and get into like scattering them now. So the first thing I'm going to place, I like to go bush by bush. So let's use the bramble bush here. It's the shrub. I like to make them bigger and then push them into the dirt. Make sure you do that, by the way. Bushes look horrible when you just place them like that. Like they seem to be floating or something. I don't know. I don't like them. Make sure you lower your bushes. If you don't rotate them, it's not as bad. But if you do not push them down, they're gonna look horrendous. It's something that actually gets on my nerve when people do that. So it works miles when you just sink it a little bit. Oops, that did not place. Come on, place. Why aren't you? There you go. There you go. See how that works? Let's use this one now. Same bush. I'm just gonna make it bigger. And I also like to place them somewhat like in between rocks, so you have that sense of, you know, the plant's not growing straight through the rock, but when there is a gap in the floor, when there is soil there, a plant will grow. And by the way, you can do the opposite. You can have where a plant is growing through a rock. Like maybe I've seen it before where there's like a little bit of soil that's fallen into the rock, and you know, it's just there's a hole there and a plant starts to grow. You know, something like that, where it's just like, okay, yeah. Just start to think about real life and what happens with plants in real life. Start to think about maybe how a park, because remember, this is a theme park, how a park would go about taking care of their pathways, taking care of their gardens, if you will, taking care of their planters. Just think about that. How would maintenance interact with this? Would they keep this plant? Would they have this style of plant here? Just be thinking about stuff like that, and it will immediately reflect upon what the actual path system looks like. Like, it will immediately affect how everything looks. So I'm just going to go in and place these bramble woods, bramble bushes, not bramble woods, on this side now. That's above this one. I could use some more rocks in this area, so I'm going to go back. And let's see, which one I haven't done. I don't know if I've done this one. I actually don't like the way that looks. I like when rocks aren't flat on top. I like when they have a bit of uniqueness to them. Like this one here. This one looks nice. Lower in the ground. Let's see. And, you know, this is a video where y'all can be working along beside me, doing your own thing, you know. Just seeing, like, hey, does this method work? I almost guarantee you that if you follow this method, your parks are going to start looking a lot better. And remember, this can be changed. It doesn't have to be this exact theme. You can go for a Western theme if you use the Western rock. But remember, if you go for the Western theme, you got to use a different style of plant, like a more dry plant, like maybe some of these cactuses, or maybe more of these blackthorns. I don't know. Just get a sense. Maybe do some research about what grows in Western areas. You know, just get a sense of what the theme you're looking for. You know. Okay, so where was I? I was doing the black. What were these called? Bramble bushes. Okay. I'll place a bigger one right here to kind of cover up. You can also cover up your rocks, and then when you cover them up, you can also lower the bush down to kind of have those rocks just barely peeking out between the bushes. Especially if those rocks are smaller, they're kind of more of a smaller genre of rock. You can do that. Okay, so that's probably good for that type. Let's go ahead and move to. Let's do, what is it called? Not the bramble, the croissant flowerless. This is probably one of my favorite bushes in the game. We did not have this in Planko 1, and so I really like this bush. There is one bush that we never got back. It was just called the forest bush, which we had in Planko 1, but we never got it back in Planko 2, and that was a bush that I used the heck out of in Planko 1. So yeah, let's just go around and start placing these bushes. Make sure to rotate, descale. Don't let them run in the pathway like you can there. Obviously, this is like some form of man-made concrete or not gravel. You know, some form of pavement, and really, bushes wouldn't grow through there. And if they slowly did, the park would take care of it, so that you wouldn't really have, you know, bushes growing through. Ooh, I like this. What if we just kind of slowly, like, had some ground floor bushes or something like that where you sink it in? Yeah, there we go. I like that. Let me do another one. Where was that, actually? Arrowwood. Okay. I'll do one right here, too. I don't want it popping up too much. Yeah, sure. That's decent looking. I need to add some more color to this side, so I'll do this. That bush is way too small, so we'll shrink that. And feel free to skip ahead in the video if you want to, if you don't want to watch this boring part. the sense of the video is just to get just show people, like, kind of my process in this. I don't like to go fast. I like to do things, you know, at my own pace and how I want them to look. That's good right there. I'll start placing that around. Okay, that's got a different genre. Actually, what the heck did I do? I'm gonna place some back here to get a. Oops, that is the wrong one. To get like a backdrop or something. I don't know. There we go. Okay, so that's starting to look good. I mean, you can immediately see, like, you're starting to wind through these bushes now. Okay, so what was the other bush? I guess we can start to use this one a little bit. We'll add some color in there now. Same type, it's just going to add maybe a little bit of beauty to the scenery. I'm not going to descale these because I don't think I'm going to do a lot of them, so I'm not going to need it. Okay. And then, let's see, I said that rose bush. Where I can never find that rose bush. Where did it go? Here it is. The flowerless rose bush is like your best friend when it comes to this sort of thing. Okay, we'll push that back. Use the advanced tool too. It helps a lot. Just doing just smaller tasks and stuff like this. I'll put one. Oops, I did not want to go that way. I want to go this way. And then make that smaller. Okay. More of the rose bush. Get into this. Alrighty, so that's... I'll probably cap it on the bushes there. You can do more. You can make it look better, but for this tutorial's sake, I think that works. No, actually that plan doesn't work. I was gonna try to add the this one in, but it actually doesn't fit the color scheme, so I'm actually gonna delete that. Yeah. So yeah, that's the general sense of the plant life for now. Trees will be added later, but I also like to do, the next thing I like to do is paint the scenery, just to get a general sense of kind of what the soil is. And so I'd imagine this would be like a very nutrient soil. So this would be a sort of mulch, or like a darker, like super healthy brown soil. Not necessarily clay or anything, or even gravel. It would just be like this very nicely taken care of, healthy soil. Maybe even mulch at some points. Like if you do planters, you could do mulch. But I also don't like just to do straight different kinds. I like to mix all the different kinds of terrain, and this is what adds color to everything. You just kind of paint, just like you're an artist. You're painting around the edges, and especially around the edges of the path. Make it a little bit lighter, because you know people might accidentally step there, and makes the ground a little bit harder around there, and there's less plants growing right around the very base of the path, which is also a reason, is because they built the path there, so there's like gravel or something that they built the path on top of that. The plants don't necessarily like. There might be weeds that like it, but the weeds would be picked by the park. So immediately you can see, like, you have different like colors of the ground. Let's see, what else can I do? I feel like I'm missing. You can also do some like grass in there to add even more like diversity, and I'll go ahead and add some mud. Some mud actually increase the intensity there. Just kind of paint it. Make all the colors different, so that you have this nice, interesting looking pathway that looks somewhat realistic. Like, I keep going back to this, but imagine you are the park and you're a gardener or a landscaper, and what the soil would look like in that area. So yeah. Okay, now that you have the gardening and the landscaping and everything done, for the most part, you can now go into the curbs and the fences. And this is what's going to start to bring everything to life. So, I forget how to get there. Yeah, it is just through the props, and then there's the fences. You can also make your own fences. I'm not going to necessarily do that for that video. I have done it in the past for like recreations and stuff. But for this video, I just want to get the idea across. So, I'm actually going to make this little nice, we'll see how this looks. If I don't like it, I'll delete it. But I like this white painted fence. I see this a lot. Not necessarily in theme parks, but I do see it on roads a lot, or neighborhoods, and it does look really nice. So I'm going to turn off angle snap here, and I'm just going to, is there a longer version of it? There is a double version. I will take the double version to kill two birds with one stone here. So save us some time. And I'm not gonna put a curb necessarily on it. In fact, I might go ahead and remove the curve. That's probably a better idea. Let's please escape. There we go. Too many escapes. If I can remember how to do this, you go into this and then turn the curb off, and then you go into the what? Where's the paint thingy? I can never, oh, there it is. You gotta do this thing. There we go. And that should, yeah, it just gets rid of all the curbs. Okay, sure. You can just drag all the curbs off. Ugh, it's kind of annoying. I'll leave it on for I'll leave the curbs on for that main pathway right now. But now you can just go ahead and start to do the fencing. I'll copy that actually. And then we can go into this white one. Let me stand back at it and look though, because this might not actually work. Well, we'll see. I'll do it. We'll see. The one thing about the fencing is it's like trial and error. You just gotta see which one looks good. And generally, if you have a park, you'll be using a lot of the same fencing throughout, because a lot of parks like to use a lot of the same kinds just for like consistency and everything. Especially if it's the same themed area. So we'll go ahead and put this around here. I don't want to do too much because I do want to do the other side to get a sense of how this looks. If it looks bad, I can quickly delete it. I also want to make this a scenery group, so I'm gonna hit I on my keyboard and then select everything holding shift, and then add it to a scenery group so that I can just easily do this. Watch this. I can edit it with R and then select everything and then drag it across. Boom. It's the same radius. With a little bit. There's a little bit different. Ooh, there's a little bit of bushes coming into my pathway there. There we go. So I do want to get a sense. I don't know if I like that. I honestly don't think that fits very much. I think we want more of a rustic looking fence. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all that. And this is just part of the process. Ooh, I forgot. I did the whole curbs thing and then didn't undo it. Oh goodness. We'll fix that later. So let's go ahead and delete that, and then we'll get into the, let's see, maybe something like this that's like small and low to the ground. Or I'll just use a custom fence because this is something that I think will work here. I'm going to steal from my Dollywood recreation. And this is something you can do too. You can steal from the workshop. I'm just going to take this. Where is it at? This fence here. I really like this fence. Because it's very like windy. It looks very rustic. This is a custom fence. I don't remember if it's on the workshop or not. But I'm going to take this. I'm going to take this out. We're going to move it all the way back over. Where was I working? Oh, yeah. Here. Okay. Move it over here. And then we'll split from building so it's its own separate thing. Yes, this could work, actually. I'll go the other way, please. I think this fence will be a lot better. It's not necessarily like a safety fence. I'm not looking for anything like, oh, trying to keep people out. Even though, yes, I do want to keep people out with this fence. But it's more of for looks type thing. So I'm going to raise it up a little bit. And by the way, this fence is very simple. It's just those wood beams. And each of them is rotated at a different angle. And then they're kind of staggered at different lengths. And I think they're angled a little bit differently. So yeah, it looks okay. And then this one actually kind of sits off of the pathway here. So we'll do like that. And then I'll just edit the entire structure. Actually, no. I'll duplicate this as each individual fence. And then, but the cool thing about this fence is you have to like stagger it, like go back and forth, which gives it that signature looking look. And it also is weird because it likes to rise up and down. So you gotta pay attention to that. Then you can rotate it this way now to come back in the path. And if I do enough, I might be able to copy and paste this around. So that is the cool part about it, is you can literally just copy and paste if you want. I do want to lower that a bit more into the ground a little bit so that you have like this kind of staggering look. And I'm going to take this first one and use this. And if y'all can hear people in the background, I'm sorry. There's siblings that are going insane. I have people in my house going insane. We'll raise that a little bit. There are plants coming through, and honestly, I think that looks kind of cool. We'll rotate this again. So, but you can start to see, like, you have this staggering look type thing, and now you're separating it from... You're separating the plants and the rocks so that people can't get to it, but you're also... The fence also looks like part of the scenery, too, so... That. I will say there is one thing that I need to fix that looks a bit strange, and it's, I think, the texture of this path. And it's kind of messing with my brain. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into customize styles, and I think let's try the gravel. This might actually work a little bit better to fit the theme I'm going for. How do you paint again? I always forget how to paint. Okay, there we go. And then we also want to make sure that the curbs are off, because yes. And we're just gonna go in and get rid of all this. Boom. Makes it a bit brighter. Get rid of all those curbs. Okay. Well, I think that looks a little bit better. It also contrasts the plant look too. But I guarantee you it'll look way better once you have the shade of the trees on top of it. You also have to think about, okay, what would the park do for this pathway? Like, what type of material would they use? Would they use this very much so like expensive cobblestone look? Would they do brick by brick? Like, would they make this a brick pathway? Or would they just simply do this little concrete sidewalk type path? Or even, like, would they do it blacktop? You gotta think about that. And also fit your park. Like, does it, like, what's the area like? Is your park already mostly blacktop? Well, you might then want to think about including it as a blacktop path. You know, just stuff to think about like that when you're working with pathways like this. So what I'm going to do is, I think that's good. Now I'm going to combine all this into, not the rock, just the fences, into one scenery group. And I'm actually just going to go in and just highlight like this portion here. Actually, we'll highlight more. The more, you don't want too much because you don't want to have, you would still want to keep that curvature. And I'm just going to kind of rotate this like that, so to match somewhat the direction of the path. Oh, I forgot to include that main pillar here. I always like to include the, oops, let's actually include this, and then make sure we select that pillar. You want to include the pillar for this specific fence because I only have the starting end on one piece, so that is a bit strange. I do want to, I think I copied too much. I'll do 3. There we go. This might work a little bit better. Or actually, we can do 4, and it'll include this one. There we go. Sorry, it takes a minute to get to learn, but once you got it, you have it in your brain, and things go really quickly when you start to learn cheats like this. You can get through your pathways and just sections of your park really fast because you know these like cheats. One thing that is a pet peeve of mine is when people just start like doing fences, but they don't copy their fence around, or they don't like copy their wall texture or something. They just kind of keep placing piece by piece. It's like, oh, you can copy that, and it would make the process go so much faster and would look just as good. So if you can copy something and it looks just as good, I would highly recommend that you do that because it's obviously going to save you time. Okay, that's looking actually fairly good, and it's working really well too. This plant is not going right there. There's too much sticking out. Yeah, but see, it looks a lot better than that white fence that we originally had. It is this nice little barrier. And to get a sense of what the final look could be, I'm going to go ahead and start to do some trees on this side of the pathway. Thankfully, it's not a very long pathway. Like, I already probably have half of this side done. And then I think, we'll see, but once I finish this side, I might just be able to copy and paste it to this side because it's the same curvature. So like I said, I want it more of a traditional style, so we'll use the elm tree for this. I think the elm tree could work really well. And again, I've said this many times already, but remember the biome you're working with, but not just the biome, but also the scenery. Remember what the theme you're working with, because depending on where you are, a park could include different styles of trees on the depending on the area. So, okay, I actually really like this tree. This is one of my favorite trees in the game. It's a European ash tree, but if you place it with other trees, it doesn't look very European. Like, you can make it look. We'll see. This one, we might be able to include this one, although this one is very alpine-y. Let me include a smaller one, so it's not like completely overtaken by this alpine. Although we are building in the taiga style, so maybe the style does work. I don't know. I'm still getting a sense for it. This pine tree definitely fits the style. So we'll do that. We don't really have... Oh, what time is it, by the way? This might affect the direction of the sun. Let's set it right at noon. So we have like almost a direct sunlight. Well, actually, because of the shape that I built this, let's actually put the shade. Oops, wrong way. No. Is there? Am I gonna be able to do this? Not really, actually. I guess I may have built this path in the exact wrong direction so that the shade will never cover it. I mean, kind of right there, but by that point it's too dark. So I'll just go back to the 12 to have somewhat of a direct sunlight. So we'll go there with that pine tree. Let's do another one, but a different version. Ooh, this one's taller. Sorry about the phone. It's going off. Boom, that one's a bit taller. I will say the trees are really big in this game. Incredibly big. Like, if I didn't lower that tree, the standard height would be, like, right here. Which I think is, like, almost 150 feet. I don't even know, man. That's tall. Those trees do get very tall, though, but that's not a traditional height. Like, that's crazy. That's a bit much. Okay, European ash. Let's do a different version of the European ash, a bigger version. Oh, see, we will get some shade on this side. Like, see, that's going to cover that path there. And see, you're going to immediately see that's going to start to look really good with that path texture. Yes, I like that. So I'm actually going to shrink this one. I like the shape of it, but it's a little big. So we're just going to go in. Also, try to make sure you're not placing your trees on top of those rocks, because trees do not grow out of rocks. Just think very realistically about what you're doing. Think about your tree placement. That's just the main point of this video. If you haven't taken away anything, think about what, like, the placements of everything. If that would be a realistic idea or not. Let's see. Is this a good... Oh, here we go. Here's one I haven't done. The white birch tree is another one that fits this style. Do that. And you can start to see, like, immediately, the trees add so much. And you can also edit the placement of them. Like, feel like there should be maybe a tree closer to the fence here. So we'll do that to have some overhang. Probably this one would be good to have that same effect, too. So you have some branches overhanging. That's a little low. I'm going to rotate it the other way so that we have the higher branch hanging over. That did not place. Okay. Cool. See, that immediately brings life to the path. It immediately does stuff. Let's see what I can do with this fence. I want to see how much I can copy and paste to the other side. So let's go ahead and start to finish around the side here. And again, you can skip this part of the video if you want, but if you are building alongside of me, just, you know, keep the video on, keep it running. The views do help the channel. I've been grinding at getting views recently, and we're really close to a big milestone of mine, which I'll probably announce very soon. But yeah, make sure to like and subscribe and do all that fun stuff. Like I said, it does help the channel. I know every single content creator ever says that, but you know, they're not lying when they say that. So I do it looks a bit strange. Oh, it also went downhill there. Hey, we're messing with terrain now too. Yay. So I'll lower that a little bit, and then we'll deselect this, right? And then this pole too. And we'll go a little bit more down. There we go. And of course, we're gonna have to move the bush. And also I might come back and put some more bushes inside this fence too. Oh, we're floating here. Yikes. I could fix that later. It didn't used to look like that because that curb was there, but honestly, this is fine. I'm not gonna mess with the fence that much. It looks okay, and for the tutorial purpose, I think it's good. I think it gets the idea across. Honestly, I might be able to like save this as a blueprint and just put it on the workshop. That would be cool, right? Like that would be fairly sick idea. Okay. So I'm actually gonna stop the fence here, and I'm gonna have the cool thing here as this kind of just goes into the ground like this. I've seen a lot of places do this. That was the wrong rotation tool. I just like to rotate it and then stick it in the edge so it looks like, you know, maybe the fence fell into the ground or something, so it just kind of buries itself. That looks cool, and it's like right at the ending of the bushes. I can move this bush a little bit in. There we go. Yeah. Alright, so now, here comes the fun part. Can we copy this fence across without having an overlap? Not really, but it is a good shape up here. Maybe I can rotate a little bit to fit some of the radius, like maybe half of it. I don't know. Like that's fairly good for that, right? And then I'm gonna edit this where it starts to cross the path. So like right there. Am I not? Oh, I was selecting the wrong one. Boom. The one thing that's bad about this fence is it is a bit more, it has a bit more pieces than like, you know, your standard non-custom fence, because, oh my gosh, I had the wrong tool selected. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna delete this portion of the fence, because, well, yeah, I'll delete that portion. I'm most likely not gonna use that. Okay, so where does it start to cross? Right here, kind of. But yeah, no, this fence has a higher piece count than your traditional, you know, Planet Coaster fence, and that is because, you know, the standard Planet Coaster fence it's one piece for every placement. This is, I don't even know, it's a few pieces for every placement. So I'm gonna do this here. I'm gonna place this fence right here and then delete this one because it's kind of in the way. And then I can also angle this one a bit more inward, like this. And then that also means that this one can get angled more inward, like that. And then drag down. And then it's a bit long, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select only the ends. Do we only have ends here? And then I'm going to slide them over to connect a little bit. There we go. And the elevation of this fence is all messed up right now, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and start the copy and paste process. But yeah, I mean, there's things that you can make just go really fast with the whole copy and paste thing. It makes it really nice. Okay, connect this. Is that pole there? Yes. The pole I'm talking about, right, by the way, is this main beam. I like to have a beam connected, but when I copied it, I only I don't have a beam on this end piece, as you can see, so I have to line it up perfectly with that other one. And I don't have the end piece so that I have to line it up perfectly. If things line up perfectly, they look good. That is a bit strange. Why is that? What I'm going to do, I'm going to deselect everything but this, and then delete that. Oh, I could delete this pole too. I just did what I was saying not to do. Okay. So now we should have this kind of angle. Yeah, better. I'm also going to lower these to the ground too. few more placements, I'll probably end up right there. Dang, I do not like this. There we go. I can angle this in. And then copy these. So you have a bit more of a... Well, now that I rotate that, it's going to fit that. I'm trying to make this fence not match that angle at all, but it's proving very difficult. I might have to go in and just use 2 at a time here, which is totally fine, and then I can copy the 4. Slide that across, place. Now I can select all 4, move it across. And yeah, this fence might take a bit longer than your traditional fence too, and that also is because it's custom, because it's got the whole zigzag thing going to it, and obviously you do not have to do that. Like this is a completely my decision here. That's because I want to match the theme that I have going. I'm gonna slide all this down, and then obviously this fence over here needs to get all slid down. Alright, so I think that's looking good. Oh, I need to rotate this out and then sink it in the ground like I did that other one to have this somewhat of a consistency. And I can move this rock too, because it looks like we're going into that rock a little bit. There we go. That is one big boulder. Alrighty, see, immediately it's just like, wow. You have this nice little quaint path, and it looks very much like it's separate, like the bushes and everything are separated from the pathway, which is really nice. So I think I said this already, but you can go ahead and do more like maybe flowers inside this path, inside this fencing here. If you want to. I'm not going to, but you know, it depends on your theme, and honestly it would work for my theme too, but I'm not going to worry about that quite yet. I do want to do the trees over here though. The trees will be nice. So yeah, let's do some of these pines. I do want to do the shorter one and then shrink that to have a different size pine than the other one I used. Make sure it's in between those 2 boulders there. And yeah, there we have that shadow, which is going to look really nice once all the trees are in. Here's that European ash tree again. This one might be sunken back a little bit. Does that split? Yeah, it does split into 2 little trees there, doesn't it? Stop. I want to select the blue tool. There you go. There we go. And we'll also put one of these... What is this? Black spruce tree in front of it? Well, actually, no, I don't like... I kind of want to avoid that tree type. Let's see. We'll do the elm tree, which is small. A small variant of it. Oh, yeah, look at that. Look at that shadow. Ooh, that looks good. Alright, there was another type that I'm missing. I think it was called the birch. That's what I'm looking for. And I want the big one. What does the large birch look like? That is not what I was expecting. Okay, medium. Sure. Why not? So I'm starting to really, really like this path now. If I ever make a park, I might actually use this. Yeah, that's looking really good. You have this nice... It's not incredibly forested. Like, you don't have a lot of shade. Now, you can fix that by adding more trees. But I honestly kind of like it with It's some shade, but it's also just kind of this nice walk through these low bushes and then some trees. Let me add a few more trees. Okay, I think I'll use this maple down here somewhere. That might work right there. It's all just kind of trial and error to see what works the best. What's this? No, we don't want bamboo. That is for sure. That does not fit at all. Let's put some palm tree. What is this? Okay, I don't think that will work. We could put a Scots in. Honestly, that might fit really well with what I'm trying to go for. Scots pine tree. It honestly kind of does. Oh, it's in the rock. That's really funny. I was not expecting that tree to work. Well, does it? Yeah, it kind of does, honestly. That's funny. Okay, I feel like I'm missing a big type. No, but we can do more of these, I guess. No, let's actually do a bigger tree. There was a bigger tree that I was messing with earlier. What tree? It was this one. Oh, it was just the European ash. Okay. I'll include one of these bigger ones. Whoa. I don't know what I did. I'll include one of these bigger ones back here. Actually. Yeah, maybe back here. To create this dense little look here. And then I'm going to do another one. Make it a little bit smaller so it's not the same tree. Over on in front here. Which is actually going to have these overhanging branches. That's pretty cool. I like that there. We'll make it a little bit smaller. It is a bit large. And then we'll scoot it away from the path a little bit. I think there was a tree. No, there wasn't. Okay. Alrighty. I think that's good for trees. Obviously, if you were in a park, all this space around it would be kind of the same thing too. So it would more complete the area. I also like to go into first person and just kind of look around to see, you know, how it completes that feeling. I think it's working really well. You have this nice little quaint thing, but we are missing something. We are missing benches, which is what I'm going to go ahead and do. Benches, trash cans, and lights is what we're going to do, but I want to do the benches too. I always forget how to get there. Is it pathing extras? Pathing... I don't remember. Oh, here it is. Path extras. Benches. And so, also, you want to include the same type here. So I think the type that works best for me is this wood style. Either that or just a traditional... Honestly, I don't know which one would work. Honestly, I think these stand out more, but this one kind of blends in more. So I'll place around these for now. Actually, that one's too close. We'll move this one a bit closer. And we'll just start to place it kind of a good distance away from each other. Of course, and set it on the other side. How do I like that? I do not think I like that on that side, but what if we just had benches on one side? I feel like those stand out too much. I know I was kind of going for that woodsy feel with the logs and everything, but unless you can change their color, which you can't, everything needs to be a bit darker on it. So I'm going to delete those and use this one to place around. do that here so we can have a bigger inset. There we go. And obviously, one over there. That looks a little bit better if I can see that, if I'm seeing that correctly. Yeah. They're not, I don't like the benches over here. I don't like them on this side of the path. Alright. Things that will make them look better, though, because benches by themselves kind of look a bit ugly, are going to be trash cans. It will complete that little look. Let's see. We have very limited options of trash cans right now, and I think the best option for us is going to be this. So we're going to try to put one next to every bench, and it should somewhat complete. Yeah, looks a little bit better with that bench and that bin there. Okay, and then of course we have lighting, which I'm actually going to steal again from Dollywood because I really like this lighting thing that I made. And you can make this yourself if you really want to, but or actually you could just go into my Dollywood file and grab it yourself. But I'm gonna steal this from Dollywood because I think it works fairly well. And it's just this little lantern. They have these hanging lights on it, so. And this is just gonna go on the other side of the bench. Make it the height throughout. And make sure to match the grain of the path with it. So like I need to rotate it a little bit like that. And these can actually go on the other side of the path too, because we do need lighting for nighttime. Which is something I actually need to get better at, is nighttime lighting in general. I'm really bad at it, at including it in parks. There we go. Yeah, see, immediately you're just like, wow, that looks good. Okay, and then, so yeah, we'll put one right here. Match that grain of the path. Actually, this could be cool. We can have it overhang here, like this way, and then slide it into the planter a little bit there. Yeah, see, that's cool. We'll do the same for over here. Boom. Yeah. See, there we go. Create some diversity of angles. Actually, this one doesn't look very good rotated. Let's keep it like this. And then we'll put another one over here. It's all about trial and error. I've said that a lot. There we go. That is looking awesome. And it really does complete that little nature look, doesn't it? Yeah. You know what? The rotation doesn't look that good. We'll just put it like that. Coolio. Alrighty, well, I think that's all for the pathway. Like, that's a good pathway, and I think that's what this tutorial was mostly going to cover, which was the pathway. Like, we can go back here in the first person, we can take a walk through. Also, I forgot to include, music helps bring to life your park so incredibly much. It's actually not even funny. Where is it? Here we go. And I like to include it on these poles because, can we go to, thank you. because they're the perfect size for this. Actually, we'll do... Let's just actually do the them on the ground here, behind the fence, which a lot of parks do. Okay, I don't know what happened with the noise. I was gonna try to do music, but it's not working. For some reason, the game glitched, and you can tell it glitched because when I select everything, and then, oh, I don't want to delete that, and then to delete, the sounds are still here. Like, there's nothing here. Anyways, I'm gonna pause it. But yeah, if you have the right music, it brings your area to life. And I think this is a fairly good tutorial for like the pathways and making everything look realistic. You just have to pay attention to your palette, what you're messing with, your the terrain you're dealing with, the biome you're dealing with, and the scenery and the theme you're going for. And when you think about all that, and you think about like things as a theme park would, and you take care of things like a theme park would, you get things like this where you can make realistic looking paths. And this was a fairly simple path. Like, I came up with this whole idea just in the middle of this video, right? Like I just came up with this, and so if you think more outside the box, you can make things look even better and make things look just like more realistic. And especially if you start to add rides like coasters. Imagine you had a coaster going through, doing a barrel roll or a 0G roll over this with good looking supports. You can make this look very realistic. For as far as buildings go, I might do a separate video for that, because I'm seeing that this video is already getting long. But I was gonna just show y'all this building as a sense of, for buildings, it really is just about using reference photos. That is my only takeaway that I can give y'all. And I hate buildings. Like, that's one of my least favorite things. Is just doing these buildings, especially something like this that's super complicated. Like, every single one of these pieces is custom, including the sign and everything. So like, when you're messing with buildings like this, you gotta take it one step at a time and just follow reference photos. Try to maybe you can make your own spin on it off of the reference photos, and you can get things to look somewhat like this. But it's also like, buildings are just trial and error. So I'll probably do a separate video on buildings. Sorry about the phone. And yeah, but this was really good. I think y'all can learn a lot from this. I hope y'all like enjoyed, and I hope y'all can take something away from this video. So appreciate y'all watching. I know it's a long video. Leave a comment below whether you liked it or not. I don't care. Leave a hate comment, whatever. I like constructive criticism. And yeah, if you did like it, comment on what you would like to see more of. Like, do y'all want more videos like this? Do you want the building video? Like, do you want me to show you how to do that? Yeah, that would be cool, and I can get to work on that. So, yeah, hope y'all enjoyed. Leave a like, comment, and I will see y'all in the next one. Have a blessed day. Peace out.